Hello there, welcome back. It's been quite some time. We did some video in this channel. I was focusing on a lot of other things, and that's the reason for delay. Before we start the video, I would like to explain one thing first. For last 3-4 years, I believe, I've been using this channel under the name Hippo Diary Code, but recently I have decided to rebrand it. I have changed the name to Mouse Events. So next thing in this video, we will be seeing about how to use different icons in WPF projects. We will see how to use bootstrap icons, font awesome icons, and also some of the popular brands. This video, I would like to try .NET 6. Now it is Windows 11 and Visual Studio 2022, and even for the future videos we will be focusing on .NET 6, but there should not be a major difference because the concept is all going to be the same everywhere. Hello, so I have opened my project here, and you might notice a difference for people who have been following this channel for a long time, that the colors have changed here. You could, let me close this here. Yeah, you could go to your tools options and fonts and colors to change your colors. I'm using Fira code from now on. Earlier it was consolas. Now from now on I will be using Fira code. I have the colors in my GitHub page. Let me just show that for you. So you can, I will paste this in the link in case you are interested in the color and the font. You can go to the link. I will paste it in the description. You can get the Fira code here, and the colors I have added the asset file that I have used. So basically different colors for different purposes. I also try to add the environmental settings for the fonts and colors, but this is for 2022 settings. You might as well try that. First, let us start with how we have been using it so far. Let me go to here. You would notice that I'm using a pre-release version because this is still in beta. I was testing it for the last couple of weeks. So I will be pushing it to a stable version probably this week, but this should not be a trouble for you because it still works. So. Here. In previous versions, we were issuing a text file along with this so that it was easy to copy paste. But then I thought it would be better if we implement a Visual Studio extension. So now there is an extension. You can search in the marketplace. Okay. So Icons Explorer, I have already installed it. This comes for 2019 and 2022 Visual Studio. Once you have installed it, currently it is present in View, Other Windows, Icons Explorer. Okay, it loaded, but on the other screen. Let me bring it here for you. Okay, there we go. I will first keep it here on the side. Okay, there we go. So this Icons Explorer contains some key informations. For instance, if you're using Haley WPF or whatever it is, you can copy the resource dictionary. You can directly paste it here. It's almost the same. We're starting with Haley.wpf. I'm not going into the icons at present, but let's go here. Without doing anything, let us first run this one so that we know how .NET 6 WPF looks like. But here we go. This is our .NET 6 WPF window, and what I will do something now. I will keep it running, and at the same time we will start building the application. So we will build it while it is live. Okay, let me close this, remove this, pull this down. Okay, so what let's add something before the way is this it's not here anymore. other windows, because we are in the debug mode, so it's not here. I will attach it here. Okay, I will copy the issue, this one, and space definition. Let's see if we are able to change Haley line button maybe. Okay, so without even saving it shows up. Usually in my previous version in Visual Studio 2019, I would have to save this for this to show up. It's very instant now. Border radius, like corner radius is equal to 20, height is equal to 40, and I'm not saving anything. It's very nice. So height is equal to 180. That's fine. And I will also do something. Vertical alignment is equal to bottom, and margin is equal to 30. Okay, let's keep it there. This looks fine. Let's close the application at present. If you are using or building an UWP application, you will be able to directly use SVG, but for WPF, you don't have the option to directly use SVG. You need to either convert them to or extract the geometry and keep them in a separate geometry drawing or a path or a data, whatever it is, and then you need to display them. Haley WPF already has those images as a static resource. If you have added it, you are not able to see it now. Anyhow, let's go here and see. We already have added it, but we are not able to see the static resources. That's one of the thing, the main reason about using, the main problem with using static resources, sometimes we are able to see the IntelliSense, and most of the times it doesn't show up. So what I did, came up with something called, do we have the HW here? Yeah, we came up with a new extension, markup extension like static resource, which is image internal. This image internal contains a kind, and you can directly select them. So this is an SVG geometry, so you can increase the size as much as you want, and you will still be having the same quality. If you want to see, there are so many items. In fact, there are not so many items. There are exactly 170 or 200 something. So that's again, it's not exactly. Okay, this is for the image, inbuilt image, right? Let's keep something, keep the size to minimum. And the problem with default image is that, the problem with any image is that any image source is that they are all freezable components, which means that once initialized, none of the properties could be changed again. If I go to the source, it will say that it is an image source. It's an image source. So any image, once WPF loads them, they are frozen. It doesn't matter whether it is an JPEG image or SVG geometry or whatever it is. The moment an image source is initiated, it is frozen. They are all freezable. Not only in WPF, even in Windows Phone, we have the same concept. When you initialize an image or a bitmap, it is frozen. The next time when you need to use them, either you clone the image and change the properties, or you create a new image, copy the pixels, and then you play with them. So that's the core concept. So usually whenever you have images, like when you move the mouse over, when you create a hover, what you need to do is you need to change the source itself. You cannot change the property of the source. You need to change the source, replace the source with a new source. So we have, what I will do. Okay, there we go. So this is fine. Now what I will do, I will add image, plain image. With Haley, we don't have the option to directly use source. I mean, like Haley.wpf, we are using attach property of icon to set default image. Again, here, let's try to see static resource. No, I'm not able to see the IntelliSense. So, you know what? even if I'm not able to see the static resource IntelliSense value, this is still valid. I can directly put it here. It is still valid even though the IntelliSense doesn't show that to me. The value is still there. You know, the one good thing about using a plain images, I can still change the color, like icon the default color purple as usual, and I can also do something, which is I can change the image when I hover. Like instead of maximize, when I change the hover, I can change it to minimize. You know, I'm not able to see the IntelliSense, so this time I will use image internal kind is equal to minimize minus whatever, and I will also set hover color to violet. Let's do a debug to see how it goes. There we go. This is a plain image. We don't have anything, but this is something. This is a Haley HW plain image. So the color changes and also the icon changes. That's okay. No, this is all fine. You know, previously we didn't even have this markup extension in previous versions, but from the new version of 5.3.0, we are going to have this markup extension so that we can do this. You might have already guessed one thing. We also have binding source. Instead of giving the value here, you can still provide the value from your view model. You can bind the value directly. But binding in the sense you cannot directly use a binding like this. You need to, because this is not a dependency property, you need to provide only the property name, just like how you will be using it when you are using conditional binding and multi-data tags. We will see that shortly, not now. Okay, there we go. And you know, instead of now we have maximum, we have hover color, everything works fine. Now, if you would notice, even though we have maximize, even though we have minus and all those things, we don't know what exactly the images looks like, and that's why we have the extension now, which you can get from here, from internal. So let me drag it here for you. It has all the internal images. There are 155 icons. You can just decide which icon you need. For instance, we were talking about maximize, right? Minus is here, maximize is here, lock. These icons come at less overhead. When I say less overhead, let me show you something. I will go to Solution Explorer, open folder. If I go to the bin debug WPF, you see this is only 470 KB. Within this 470 KB, we are having all the 155 icons, which are all geometries. They are not images, they are just geometries. But now, if you need more icons like font awesome icons or bootstrap icons, it is not present in Haley.wpf. The reason is font awesome alone contains 5054 icons. And your bootstrap contains 1850, and the brands, different brands are here, and you know, no, I'm not the owner or source owner for all these icons. I just took some of the open source libraries. Bootstrap gives all their icons as SVG files in their GitHub repository. Font Awesome gives some of their icons as open source SVGs, and same as brands as well. So these are all open source icons from different locations. I gathered them together and made them as geometries and I kept them here. Now, with regards to how we are going to deal with other icons, I have a separate library called Haley.wpf.iconspack. The reason is the library is going to be like around 7 or 8 MB. For big applications, that's not a big thing. Even you could see that the same library is used here. It's very fast. Only on the startup it was little, you know, like there was a delay of like 1 or 1.5 seconds. but then everything is loaded up. Let me load that icon, get package here. Okay. This is a standalone. If you see WPF, it depends on MVVM, and then it pulls in Haley.abstractions, Haley.extensions. It depends on so many things because it is a full-fledged library which supports different user controls. It supports theming. It supports many things. So it pulls everything else. But the icon itself is nothing like that. It depends only on the community kit MVVM. Even this is not required, but you will see why it's required shortly. Or the reason why it requires is to trigger some of the property changed events. We could have done without this as well, but just decided to use this at present. Maybe in the future we will also remove this dependency, but at present this is fine. The file size may be around 7 MB or 8 MB. Let's install this here. Let's install the NuGet package. Why did I close it? Should not have closed it. Okay, let's install this. It's not feasible. Okay, so now that we have added it, I will go to the icons explorer, home, and if I'm using this one, I need to add this resource. I copied it. I'm going to my app, and I will add this one as well. Now this is from icons. I will save it, and there we go. We don't even need to use the namespace, XML namespace, because this is the same namespace which is present for Haley.icons as well. Here, what we have is one more thing. We already have something called rotate angle, which is present in icon.rotate angle. I can give 45 degree. You could see the image rotating. So plain image comes with rotate angle. You might not see the difference here, but if you are using an arrow, you will see the difference. You are seeing only empty image because it is not loaded. Let me turn off and on. No. Arrow. Arrow. Okay, let's debug it to see how the arrow looks. Did I press it? No, not it. Okay, there we go. Here's our arrow, and if I say, let me minimize it. If I say 95, it's turning to 95. That's the idea behind the icons. Let's close it up. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the other icons which are present in the new Haley.wpf.icons pack, right? So that one, even this arrow down right is coming from icons pack. Earlier we didn't see all those things. Now we could see that there are like around thousands of images. You can directly start using them to your source, or in case you want when you are going to use the extension itself, the markup extension, this markup extension is for image internal. Only the 155 images will be present here. But in case you want to use brand icons or other icons, you have another extension which is IMG. So basically there are two markup extension, IMG internal and IMG. IMG internal is for the internal 155 icons, and IMG is for the whole. You could see that we have brand, let's say abstract. You could see it's changing. Let me try to change to Amazon. Okay, and then I will show something. It comes with so many priorities and so many validations. We have 4. Font awesome. I will choose maybe Sync or Light. So we have brand, bootstrap, font awesome, but it always takes the brand because alphabetical BR, BS, and finally FA. If any of the one is not present, the next alphabetical item will be chosen. For instance, if I remove BR, The next alphabetical is BS. Let's remove this both. Let's remove this. So what happens is immediately BS will be considered, which is 4K. If I add brand, then brand is considered. The reason, it always give priority to the alphabetical order, like brand and then bootstrap and then font awesome. If bootstrap is not present, brand is also not present, it falls back to font awesome. If font awesome is also not present, it falls back to the default image, which is the Haley logo. Let's say we have everything, but then we want to still define what we need. We have preference, and then in preference I will say, even though we have values for everything, just say that I need my font awesome to be the preference. So we have the preference here. I can also go to say bootstrap. So this becomes my bootstrap, but this is a very unideal situation. You will not be using all the images and then you will be changing the preference, because anyway this is not bindable property. These are all manually provided. Maybe if you want to do some testing, you might be using it, or maybe if you are going to do some style for this, based upon the value you might change the preference to, you have all those values in one place, and based upon preference you can change it. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it. And then we have binding source as well. Binding source takes the utmost priority. It doesn't matter whatever you give. If you are going to bind it to something, let's say test data, then test data will take the utmost priority. If the view model or the data context does not have a property called test data, then it will fall back to the error. Like you can even do something like this, test data dot image source, something like this. But we are not going to see about binding in this video. We will see about binding in another video. Here we have a lot of interesting things. So we are still in the image right now. We can use the same here as well now. Image, and instead of kind I will say brand is equal to LinkedIn or Apache, and let's display this and turn off. We're still saying that, so we'll just do a small debug so that the image gets loaded into the cache. You see, I'm not seeing. What is this? Why? Because I changed the image for the hover. That's the reason why I didn't see it in the first place. Anyhow, that's okay. And just like how we have plain image, which is from WPF, if you don't want to use Haley.wpf but still want to use all the icons, you can go with something called image. This image comes with source directly, but here you cannot do the hover. You cannot hover and change it at present. You cannot change the image on hover, but you can only change the color. So let's do a static resource here. There are different ways you can use static resource. You can use the imaging, and you would have noticed something now. This HW image, as I explained, it is coming from a different library, which is icons pack, but I'm feeding it into Haley.wpf. Likewise, I can still use this, because anyhow this is only the source. I can still use this markup extension from the WPF and feed it into icons pack library as well, like this avatar. It still works, because at the end of the day, what this markup extension does is it goes to its parent library, checks the resources and checks whether it has any static resource by the name avatar, and returns it. So it doesn't matter whether you are calling it from any library. At the end of the day, it's all just image source. And I will keep it to image, and I will change to brand is LinkedIn. Why am I not able to choose LinkedIn? Okay, so fill is equal to blue, or maybe dark blue, and hover fill is equal to red. I will say Indian red. It's like kind of like that salmon color. Let's check. There we go. The only thing is in this hw.image, which is from icon spec image, we don't have the option to change the icon itself, but you can change the hover color. And the plain image, you can change the icon also, and the color as well. You can do whatever you want. This is the default image of 4K, which you don't have the option to change color unless you specify some kind of what do you say, styles. This is all fine. Then why did I add this small button here? This is to show you that not only the images can be added here. Since this is only going to provide you the image source, you can add anywhere that accepts an image source. For instance, instead of plain button, I will go with combo button. And combo button. Let's add some image. With all the Haley.WPF, adding the images comes via attach property icon. I will add Amazon brand. You do whatever you want, and you can add a padding. Padding will actually let us add some border brush. Border brush is equal to black. Border thickness is equal to 1, and border brush right. Padding is equal to 5. So we have a 5 around the edges. Let the height be 45. There we go. And you know what? I don't need this border brush and border thickness. Instead, I'm going to add shadow. So I have a glowing effect. Shadow dot is enabled is true, and shadow dot color is equal to blue, and shadow dot only on mouse over is false. What happens is usually shadow will appear only when you are hovering the mouse, but I don't want that. And shadow dot blur radius is equal to 8. There we go. Now we have a nice background. There we go. So that's how we do it, adding the images to different Haley controls, and also directly using the icons packer. If you are going to use directly the icons packer, that's still fine. You will still have this HW Haley image. If I press F12 here, I'm selecting image and I'm pressing F12 now, so it will open up. You see this image itself is a control which is present in Haley WPF icons packer. So only with icons pack you can still make use of all the different icons. If you want to use, I will repeat again, you can go to Visual Studio Marketplace, search for Haley icons packer. This is available for 2019 and 2022. And from the icons you can copy the resource dictionaries, copy. So this is just a sample example here. You can get all the brands. You can copy the brands as well here, but if you just want to know what is it, you can directly copy the values. And font awesome is here, and bootstrap is here. Just take a look. I hope it will be useful. What I will do in another video, I will explain about how we can do the bindings and how we can change the values from the code behind or view model or whatever it is. I hope this will be helpful to you. Thank you for watching. Thank you.